welcome to the best debate in the universe. Every debate in the universe, from Art Trap's Gay to Ice Cube versus Dre. With over 2 million downloads, I'm your host, Maddox. With me is Mikey Bolts, the audio engineer.
Hello, Maddox.
And as always, my first hand on staff, moderator, Rucka Ali.
Yo.
Welcome back to the show. Guys, we've got a great show today. We've always got a great show. Someone asked me last time, hey, Maddox, will you ever say a show is rubbish at the top? No, it's never happened.
Wow. You showed them.
Yeah. Coming up on today's show is the debate, did CNN cross the line? Then we've got a recap of last week's debate, voicemail, and then this week's debate, and then finally we'll round it out with some headlines from around the web. But please welcome back to the show one of our all-time fan favorite guests, Mike D. Mike, welcome back to the show.
Yo, yo, yo. Thank you so much. Do you ever call any of your guests rubbish?
Only after the fact.
All right, I can't wait to turn my back.
I don't think we've had any bum guests. Everybody brings something to the table, even ones that piss off the fans, which are ones that I like.
Okay.
I've always said it's not on the guest to be a good guest. It's on you to make them interesting.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point.
Right.
You gotta be a good host.
Yeah.
Right. So Mike, if you guys recall, Mike D appeared way back on episode 34. That was our Punch a Nazi debate. You remember that? And Mike, after that episode, what happened is it became a send-off for the show. All the callers started calling in, and when they would end their call, they would say, punch a Nazi. So,
I see.
so you contributed to that.
Oh, thank you.
Wow. By the way, Maddox, way to be on the right side of that issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those Antifa guys. So you must be so proud to have sided with them.
What the fuck did I say against about Antifa?
They just went on. They just went. The guy who punched him was Antifa.
I think you spawned it. I think the G20 protests yesterday were because of you.
Yeah.
Way to be on the right side of every issue, dude.
Yeah.
Now it's so good that we get to look back 6 months later and say, oh wow, yeah, the guy who punched Richard Spencer in the street, that whole movement, it just went on to do such amazing things.
Wow, bravo.
These guys
bravo,
are
Rucka.
literally Nazis.
Yeah,
literally
Nazis.
Literally Hitler.
Okay.
Yeah.
The guy who got punched wants to, like, one day in the future pay black people to leave. Dumbass, but not like the guy who punched him literally wants to just start murdering
I'm sure he
people.
wants to pay them to leave. He just
That's
wants
what
to
he
buy them
says.
out. I'm sure that's what Richard Spencer
Oh
wants.
yeah. Nobody
real,
can speak
real
for
solid guy.
Okay, and
Yeah.
the guy who punched him is what? A fucking stand-up fucking member of society?
So for those of you watching on YouTube, these videos are now on YouTube, and you can see this wonderful straw man Rucka has been constructing
Yes, you
in
can see
real
it.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
it's
see it
right
on
here.
our YouTube channel, which, by the way, has been doing very well. Thank you all for subscribing. Some of the videos already have over 15,000 views. I think Blair White's had 3,000-4,000 views at the time of this recording.
Not easy to get to grow a YouTube channel with like long form content.
Right.
You know, that's not virally, but
Right.
with slowly but steadily, you can really build an audience.
That's
so
right.
All you folks out there that use the internet, leave a comment on YouTube.
Yeah. And check it out. We've been linking to them on the website. They're a lot of fun to watch. You can see the how the sausage is made, I guess.
Have they demonetized you yet, or no? You haven't offended enough people.
No, they would have to monetize.
Maybe that's a metric of the success of your work.
Yeah.
If you're still making money off your YouTube videos, you're sucking at what you do.
Well,
think about that.
Okay, I have thought about that, and I'm going
All
to
right.
go ahead and disagree already.
well.
I'll tell you what, though. Just a few of my videos have been demonetized, and one of them, surprisingly, is one of the tamest videos on my channel. It was, I started this holiday called Osama bin Laden Death Day, and I celebrate, the ending of the world's #1 terrorist.
Right.
And I always tried to make a treat or a meal to celebrate the occasion. I made one with Osama bin Laden spaghetti, and that one got demonetized.
Well, doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, Osama bin Laden may not be perfect, but he's no Richard Spencer.
That's true.
All right, good job. Well, we should talk about last week's debate before we move on.
Yeah.
Last week, we had on the amazing guest, Blair White, and her boyfriend, Joey Sarson. They announced that on the show. Now, very astute fans of Blair White and Joey have already pieced it together because they follow them on Instagram, and they saw some very lovey-dovey photos of them together, right? But they made it official. They officially announced it on our show last week, so huge scoop, huge get. And then we debated last week whether or not traps are gay. Mike, do you know what a trap is?
I found out by looking at your site.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that. I've allegedly been trapped many times without knowing what it was. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
So, I think the debate was kind of botched, and I blame myself for that, because The debate was, are traps gay? And we looked at it from the point of view of one of the guys who is effeminate and dresses in feminine clothing, trapping other people, right? Are they gay? Of course. I think so.
Right.
But we should have asked the other question, is the person they're trapping gay?
Right.
Yeah, I think that would have been more interesting. Right. Yeah. Damn it.
So
Missed opportunity.
What are you going to say next week about what you should have done this week?
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
I'm always finding some fuck up that we can talk about.
Trying to anticipate your mistakes here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There will be some for sure.
Yeah.
Well, the audience voted by 63% no. Traps are not gay.
All right.
How's that possible? Is this right? Am I reading this right? 63% said no. Traps are not
as
gay.
I tried explaining to you last week, like there's more going on there. I don't remember what I said.
Wait. So I admit I didn't listen. But is the idea that maybe traps identify as the opposite gender and therefore they're not gay? Is that maybe the thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, because then your logic holds true, but in the totally opposite direction, right? Because if they're truly the other gender, then I can see why.
So you think it's psychologically more important than it is physically?
No, what I'm saying is if they psychologically identify as a woman, then are they gay?
Then it's straight.
Is that maybe what's being caught up in the results here? Are people saying that they're not gay because they identify as a woman, therefore them trying to get a guy just makes them straight?
So two gay guys could be having sex together, right?
One puts on a wig.
No, they don't even have to do that. They just both have to identify as female, and they are lesbians. That's
totally.
That's essentially, I think, the argument that we just made.
Symbols of feminism, I think.
Yeah, they're paragons of feminism. Yeah. And then we asked the second question of the debate: is sexuality more fluid for females? And by 73%, the audience voted yes.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Experts.
Yeah. Bunch of potential lesbians is all I'm hearing. Guys, if you want to leave us a voicemail, it's on the website, madcastmedia.com. Also, that's where you vote on these issues. We're going to be having another vote this week on this week's debate. So before we move on to voicemail, I have a tweet, Rucka. Yeah. Someone tweeted at Maddox. That's not my Twitter handle.
You're not
guys.
Maddox?
I am Maddox, but
not on Twitter.
No, I'm Maddox Rules on Twitter.
Maddox Rules.
But this guy, it's Mornlith VT tweeted at me, you, and Blair White.
Is it really him?
Who? Mornlith?
Yeah, is that
it doesn't say real, so I don't know if
it's verified.
No, he's not verified.
All right. I know you wouldn't bring in just some random tweet.
No, I do my research. It's very thorough.
Yeah.
He says Rucka's lying out of his ass.
Oh.
Psychology vastly predates manned or even robotic lunar exploration. And then he tweeted another tweet. He said, "Yes, we may not understand the machinations of the brain entirely yet, but to say that psychology is young when compared to lunar exploration, no. Hell, psychology predates quantum physics."
Oh, quantum physics? Oh, that's where I fucking learn about the world. Listen, I was saying psychology is young compared. Isaac Newton was a scientist. All right, that was hundreds of years ago. He discovered like laws of physics. He may have had some errors, but the essence of what he did was create the scientific method that gave us the Industrial Revolution. All the medicine we enjoy. I know. Integration and kind of seeing connections between separate objects is very difficult for your primitive brain as an Armenian member of society. I'm sorry about the Armenian remark, but Newton gave us the laws of physics that gave us so many of the toys we enjoy today. Although when it comes to the Android, I'm inclined to say fuck Newton for what he did to us. That's science. That's fucking physics. That goes back hundreds of years. Psychology, when did that begin? Let's see. Sigmund Freud gets up in the middle of Germany right before Hitler came in. So there's a very great time to be in Germany. Freud gets up there and announces that no one can know anything because we're all driven by unconscious forces to have sex with our parents. Go ahead, Mike. What you got?
You're talking rubbish.
Yeah.
Incorrect.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. It's not. I don't think it's determinable what the right answer is. Number one, you could say that the study of astronomy, the moon, etc., which is the one part of the argument, goes back to the Egyptian days when they were plotting the pyramids and before then. So your point about Isaac Newton. It's the definition of when the science began. If you go back to year dot, the study of something goes way back beyond the Enlightenment days or the Middle Ages. It goes back thousands of years, number one. Number two, the study of psychology, you could tie back to philosophy, even to religion. When do you decide that the line has been crossed, as in, today is the genesis of psychology? If it's about the way humans think, feel, live, points of view on life, their mental health, one could argue it goes way back as well. So I'm not sure why you juxtapose these two things that really aren't the markers of the beginning of either one of these branches of study.
I'm not sure what the context was for this.
Good point. But
what's the context for this conversation?
Mike,
I'm completely
the context
lost.
is he's saying, we have quantum physics. Listen,
wait, no. Why did he say? He said that psychology vastly predates
because
manned or even unmanned.
I said we were talking about traps being gay for 2 hours, and during my wrap up, I said that psychology is a young science.
Oh, I see.
We have a lot to learn. Whereas other types of sciences, we've put people on the moon, we've created the internet that goes in your pocket. Like we've come very far as science. And when it comes to psychology, in my opinion, we're in the dark ages. And I was trying to illustrate the fact that as we really started to pay closer attention to psychology, we were kind of in my opinion, starting to bastardize science in general. He brought up quantum mechanics. I'm not entirely sure any of that shit is even true. And I know I'm going to piss off a lot of neckbeards, but I'm sorry, guys. A lot of this quantum mechanics and string theory and whatever the fuck Einstein was talking about half the time, a lot of that shit, no offense, it's the fucking physics equivalent of intersectional fucking feminism. It's fucking academic and has no basis in reality.
Wrong. You're talking right out your ass.
Bullshit.
You guys watch on YouTube. Rucka's standing up on the desk with his hands on his ankles, bent over, squeezing his ass cheeks when he said that sentence. That's what happened. That's the truth. That's the absolute. Yeah, we all saw it. We all saw it. His winking butthole.
On camera.
Hey, speaking of,
and we move on. All right.
I got some voicemail. This one's from Weird Matthew McConaughey. He wanted to weigh in on the trans debate from last week. Listen to this.
I know I'm a little late on this, but I heard a recent outcry from the transgender community of that all transgender porn isn't really transgender porn, it's female porn. How do you feel about that? Because I feel like, me personally, I feel like transgender kind of, that could kind of, there's a span within that.
Wow.
A what?
And he said there's a span in between that and
so there's nuance. There's nuance to transgender porn.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's saying.
Thank you, Weird Matthew. I think the looks on everyone's face around the room is just confusion. Thank you for that call. Here's another call. This one's about anime porn. He has a question for us. Listen to this.
Hey, Maddox, I was listening to your debate with Blair White about transsexuals and all that, and I gotta say I'm a little disappointed. Y'all were talking about whether or not dudes that dress up like girls and seduce straight guys are gay, but what I really wanted to know was, whether or not I'm gay for jacking off to anime girls with, huge-ass dicks. Anyway, I love the show. Keep up the good work. I bought the bonus episode. It was totally worth it.
Yeah.
Now I got a 2-hour commute, so you got to make more bonus episodes.
True.
Take my money.
All right. Well,
we got a new one coming, right?
Yeah, new one. We just recorded a new one. It's coming out really soon. It's a lot of fun. Jesse P.S. makes an appearance again. But what do you guys think? Is he gay for jacking that hog to some hot-ass anime babes with huge-ass dicks?
Huge-ass dicks.
Yeah.
That's not gay.
That's not...
I don't know. I mean, are the anime characters, are they, say, Japanese? Could this be a racist thing? Is it a fetish thing maybe that he has? Maybe it's not a sexual thing? Maybe it's not a homosexual thing, but it's like a racial thing?
I don't know if race plays into it, but I'll say this much. When we get into the realm of anime, you are actually creating sexual objects, sexual beings, sexual things that don't even exist in real life. You can have an anime character with 12 tits, 10 dicks, tentacle dicks, and that's what gets you off. But that thing doesn't exist in real life. So what are you? How do you identify sexually if all you can get off to are furries with dicks? What are you then?
Other than being a psycho, I think. Is that any worse? Is that any different to saying, those folks that fall in love with a mountain or a brick wall?
Yeah.
I mean, they're real.
Real
but does
weird.
the fact that they are real make them any more sane in that there's a 3D-ness to them? The fact that this guy's... But I must say that I have friends that have gone into porn sites. You know, allegedly they have entire channels dedicated to anime, and I've never understood that. Is that a thing?
Oh, it's absolutely a thing. It absolutely is.
And is there a certain type of sex that consistently happens in anime?
Yes.
Or literally could there be like penises coming out of the ears and stuff?
No, there is a consistent type of trope in anime porn, and it's always this. All right, this huge titted girl is usually a virgin, or she's really shy, and she gets seduced usually by a professor or a teacher or a classmate, and her default is always to be very demure and be like, oh, but it's wrong. This feels so wrong. I shouldn't do this. No. Oh, and then she really likes it, but she's embarrassed of liking it. That's consistently across the board with all anime porn.
Allegedly.
So I've heard. So
Right.
In my research, I've heard. Here's another call.
And everyone who watches hentai should literally be on a sex offender watch list. I just want to propose that. It's a proposal.
You know what? Better safe than sorry. So speaking of gay, here's another call. Listen to this.
Hey, Maddox, it's your little bitch boy. I'm just calling in to say that great episode. Loved what you did. Loved how you were upfront about how you weren't informed. You were asking questions. You know, the brilliant. You're an amazing man. Straightest man I've ever heard in my life has been you. I'm straight as well. But if you were to trap me, you know, I wouldn't be like, oh shit. I'd be like, okay, I'm down with this. Because that's how straight we are. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. That's how straight you are. If you find yourself in a situation with a trap and you just roll with it, you're fucking straight as shit. That's right.
You're like comfortable in your own masculinity, I suppose. That's the reverse psychology going on there.
Yeah, you're super straight in that case.
So if you're put off by it, you're super gay. That's the corollary of it.
It's something you're repressing something, I think.
Got it.
Here's a call from the Drolling Aussie checking in.
Yeah.
Hey, mate. I've got a riddle for you. What do all the women you've ever slept with and my free T-shirt have in common? None of them have come yet.
Yeah.
Get it? Fucking slowpoke.
Yeah, we get it, Drolling Aussie.
That's a good one.
We get the joke.
You promised him a shirt.
That's an okay one. The shirt's coming, all right? Don't worry about it. The shirt's coming. Just like all the women I've slept with. They're coming.
They're coming.
Yeah. They're coming. They're still coming.
They're still coming. Yeah.
Never stopped coming. They're broken people. They can't even walk their grocery stores.
They're still coming.
Shaky knees.
Yeah.
They just collapse in a pile. Exhausted.
Dehydrated.
Dehydrated. That's right. Yeah, Mike D.
Gosh.
Here's another caller. This guy called in last week, and there was a caller call out that made fun of his voice. Listen to this.
Hey there, Maddox. Just calling in response to whatever tomcockery of a caller call-out that was. Oh, thanks, guys. You fucking agree that the show wasn't the greatest, but more of a thank you for pointing out that my voice is fucking annoying. Thank you for that astute observation, Sherlock Holmes. You called in because you're hoping to suck Maddox's cock yourself. I'm assuming it's big, but it's probably not. Anyway, guys, I want to point out the fact that your last 3 episodes since we last talked have been fucking on point. Probably a little too good because we haven't really been able to have any good voicemails to call you on your fucking bullshit. Fucking fantastic. Anyway, love you guys. Hope to suck all your cocks. Bye-bye.
Fantastic call. Now, I don't know if you guys heard that, but he used a phrase which may be my new favorite insult. He called that guy Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Sherlock. Is that a thing? Have you read that before?
No, but the word cuck is just so awesome. I'm just glad he used it.
I think that's kind of funny. Sherlock Holmes. Here's one last one. And I think this will lead us into the debate this week. But listen to this. See what you guys think of this one.
Hey, Maddox. Great show. I just wanted to ask you a question. This is with regard to the podcast that you had with Sargon of Akkad.
All right.
Now, my question is, do you think that power should come with responsibility? Because it seems like many people have the presumption that freedom of speech means freedom to say whatever you want without consequence. And this tends to be exploited in very terrible and violent ways with people who are in power with regards to that. Do you think that people should face the consequences for their actions, or is it just a byproduct of the freedom of speech that they don't need to be held accountable for them. Thanks.
Great
fucking
way to say
Nazi.
nothing.
No, he didn't say nothing, Rucka. He
What
said
the fuck
some
does that
things.
mean? People with power. What the fuck are you talking about?
No, my brain hurts listening to that.
Yeah,
because,
really?
Go on.
let me tell you why. So he starts off saying, does it come with responsibility? And then he segues into, do they have to live with the consequences? Those are two very separate ideas, right? I don't have to have jack shit in terms of responsibility. I can say what I want. But the fact that I have to live with the consequences may still be true. Those are two separate ideas.
Okay.
No. So to
All right.
answer his question, to educate your gentleman caller, you do not have to have responsibility, but you can't help but have consequences.
Okay.
That's the right answer.
All right, interesting.
I mean, there's consequences / you have to be responsible in all your actions. If you say something that makes people not want to hang around you or do business with you or have sex with you, you might want to think about that before you say something. If you want to say something hateful, you might then be shunned by society. Doesn't mean they get to punch you. It just means they might not associate with you.
All right.
So yeah, there's technically consequences. You have a responsibility, but this linguistic bullshit this guy's trying to do to kind of tiptoe, use linguistic to kind of bring us to a point where it's like, oh, you have free speech as long as it doesn't offend anyone, because then your responsibility. What do you disagree with me about?
Again, you're sort of confusing two things.
You're
Why
basically
do you have
yeah.
to have responsibility? You don't have to have responsibility. You just have to have the guts to live with the consequences.
Well, guys, before we get ahead of ourselves, this is leading us into the debate this week.
I agree with you, but go ahead.
Let's get into the debate this week, because this is exactly on topic right here. But coming up at the end of the show, I've got some quick news headlines, and with me as always is my first hand-on-staff moderator, Rucka Ali. Let's hear his buzzer. That's what it sounds like if he disagrees with me. And Mike D, welcome back to the show. Let's hear yours. There it is. There's Mike D's. Now, guys, recently Donald Trump tweeted a GIF someone made of himself body slamming someone during a wrestling match with CNN's logo replaced over the head of the person being body slammed. CNN traced the GIF to a Reddit user, and they decided not to publish his name. In a statement, CNN said, CNN is not publishing Han Asshole Solo's name because he is a private citizen who has issued an extensive statement of apology, showed his remorse by saying that he has taken down all his offending posts, and because he said he is not going to repeat this ugly behavior on social media again. In addition, he said his statement could serve as an example to others not to do the same. And then this is the sentence that a lot of people had an issue with, but they said, CNN reserves the right to publish his identity should any of that change. Many people viewed the last line as a threat. Now there's a raging debate online as to whether CNN did the right thing or whether it was coercion on CNN's part. So that leads us to the debate this week. Did CNN cross the line? Now is your chance to vote on the website, madcastmedia.com. But first, I'll throw to
well, just your summation of the event. I think I don't know if you mentioned, but basically CNN took Trump retweeting this meme as like a threat to CNN. So CNN made it a story, and then this guy, if I'm correct, Han Asshole Solo, he got afraid that because this is now a story that his information will be exposed. Yeah. So he went to CNN and said, "Hey, please keep me out of this." Am I right so far?
No, you're incorrect.
Okay.
We'll get to that though.
Okay.
Mike, I'm going to, as our guest this week, I'm going to throw it to you first. What side of the debate do you want to argue on?
Well, the only side. It's the side that CNN sucks. And it's proved it once again with this move. They're digging their own grave. This was horrendously immoral on multiple levels, and I hope we have time to wrap CNN over the knuckles in all the ways possible.
Well, I tried to get to the debate this week quickly because it's a big one, and there's a ton of stuff to go through over here. But first, you are on the side that CNN definitely crossed the line. Now, let's
crossed about 17 lines, yes.
Okay. Let's not conflate two things, though. We can say that CNN sucks and CNN crossed the line. Those are two different things.
I said two different things.
Yeah. So I agree that CNN sucks. For a long time, I'm going to put this out there. I'm one of the first people on the internet to write an extensive article about why I think CNN sucks.
Why did you think they sucked back then?
He hated Ted Turner.
No, back then I thought CNN sucked because
about what?
Because they didn't cover the news. I watched headline news on usually in the background when I was working, and they would not cover any substantive stories.
Right.
It was the same filler, celebrity gossip, garbage that you would see on Entertainment Tonight, and it was on repeat for 20 minutes at a time. It was absolutely garbage. And then the only time CNN, and I'll still stand behind this, the only time CNN does any good news today is CNN International. And they only air it for about 1 hour every day during lunch hour between like 12 and 1 p.m.
But you know it's an entire channel, right? Overseas, you get CNN International 24/7, and that's higher quality broadcasting.
It's much higher quality. Yeah.
They've got reporters, journalists, stories from all 5 continents. It's much more balanced. It's less talking heads expressing opinions.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's very informative. It's really good. CNN
yes.
International is great. CNN headline news is absolutely garbage. There's you can watch that thing for hours and not come away with a single fact.
But the ratings support that. The ratings are horrible for headline news. Now we're talking headline news is separate.
Okay.
CNN
is separate.
Mainline. It never used to be. I know we're deviating from this particular incident, but CNN, if you rewind your brain like 15, 20 years ago, it actually, you talk about the days of Christiane Amanpour and Wolf Blitzer. I mean, there was some solid journalism done at one point, and then they started feeding into the social media, short attention span, high sizzle, no steak type stuff that everybody peddles in today, and they're paying the price.
Well, so CNN, the headline news separate, right? Okay, you want to look at just CNN? All they have on there are pundits. They had with Lou Dobbs, and then Lou Dobbs got fired or went off to Fox News, and then they had Anderson Cooper and Wolf Blitzer and all these pundits who basically sat there espousing their bullshit opinions, and they had the talking heads show up, and I felt like I was completely uninformed when I would watch that station. What I like is the facts when I tune into news. I like them to tell me the story and not pontificate as to what actually happened.
I'll say something that maybe I'll mention a name of a cable channel. I'm not promoting them in any way, but it's interesting because I'm sort of a news hound. Like, I love to know what the hell's going on, and not just in terms of the latest repeat scandals. There's a channel that I watch called One American News. I don't know if you guys have heard of this thing.
No.
It's right off Fox, if there is such a thing. But that's only when there's sort of the 10% of the talking heads are expressing their personal views, but the rest of the day, it's literally 60 minutes of 1-minute stories, one after the other, actually covering what's actually going on. And it's jaw-dropping. If you flip from MSNBC, CNN, Fox over to One American News, you go, holy shit, I had no idea that bombs went off, bridges collapsed, a volcano just blew, a war broke out, economic collapse over there, a ship went down, whatever. You will never hear this crap from the mainstream media.
That's correct. And what I found that I'm getting my news source mostly from lately is NHK. NHK is the Japanese news organization, and they do a really good job of most of our news and most European news. However, now this is the bias I'm starting to notice in all the different news outlets, but from a particular country, they do have a little bias against the countries that they have a beef with. So China and Japan, not very friendly to each other. They've had a lot of history, a lot of bad blood. And every now and then, NHK will cover a Chinese story in a very negative light. And it's very interesting how much time they devote to this Chinese story. So I do notice that. I am aware of that. And I notice the British government doing that sort of thing. And
So CNN did something this week.
Back to the debate. Thank you, Rucka. So, Mike, why do you think that CNN crossed the line here?
Oh, my gosh. Well, look, I think, to start at the beginning, I think if CNN had exposed the guy, that almost would have been a lot less than what they've done. If they had exposed the guy, I don't think a lot of people would have batted an eyelid. They would have said, okay, some schmuck said something stupid and he was outed for it. But, in the course of typical reporting, a lot of people are outed for what they do. I mean, that's basically, name and shame is the name of the game in the news business. So I think most people have gone, oh, here's this Han asshole Solo. This guy is a schmuck and here's what he did. I think most people have gone, yeah, boo you, Han asshole Solo. They may have taken CNN's side. Where they went from the light to the dark side is by saying, naughty boy, wrap you over the knuckles. Now, if you behave according to our rules, we will stick by our generous behavior of not fucking up your life.
Right.
But if you step out of line according to our subjective parameters here, we are going to fuck up your life. I almost think that had they exposed him on the one hand, or not exposed him but left out the threat, I think CNN would have gotten away with it. The fact that they turned this into a magnanimous gesture on their own part, here we are, high and mighty, standing on our, moral bully pulpit, and we will tell the little kid over here that if you do the wrong thing, we will then turn you into the authorities. That to me made them no worse than the biggest bullies online. And by the way, as Ted Cruz said, the fact that CNN is based in Atlanta, they may have broken a few laws, Georgia-based laws around essentially extortion. Blackmailing somebody for a certain outcome.
Well, extortion is for money. That's
well,
correct, right?
Not necessarily. I think extortion could be for money or for other items of value. I suppose there's maybe a fine line between extortion and blackmail. But the law that I think Ted Cruz, and I may be misspeaking, but that he called out had something to do with extortion or theft. It didn't use the word blackmail. So I guess he's just sort of riffing on what lines they may have crossed legally. Keeping that out of the debate, the legal side of things, I think morally they just basically gave away their moral high ground on a particular issue and fucked themselves. By the way, this is I think it's a 3+ year old meme. And it was tweeted out something like 4 days prior to Donald Trump retweeting it. So, in fact, the content could be 10 years old. And the guy, I think the guy that Trump beat up was Vince McMahon, who runs WWE.
I think so, yeah.
So the content is old. The tweet, it pre-existed, Donald Trump picking it up. It's a fucking joke. And all that CNN did, quelle surprise, is spawn 10,000 other memes with Donald Trump kicking people's asses, kicking CNN's asses in different ways. They're just an idiotic strategic move, and I believe it emanated from one guy. I think was it Andrew Kaczynski or something like that? There was the guy. Yeah. There was one guy who was trying to dox this guy. And
the journalist. You're talking about the journalist.
The journalist, and I believe some dirt has been dug up about him as well in some of his past behavior. So he should STFU.
Well, so a couple things. You mentioned a bunch of interesting things here, interesting points. First is that CNN bungled this, right? A lot of people are saying that. A lot of people. It looks like CNN's got egg on their face. Everyone's angry at CNN. However, this could have been a strategic move just for that purpose. I think that CNN, from the outset, from the outside, it looks like they did something very dumb. However, they did exactly what Trump does every day, which is do some big bungling thing that gets them in the headlines, because now everybody's talking about CNN. Everybody. Look, I'm not a moron. You're not a moron. We're all pretty smart in here. We see that wrestling gif. I don't think a reasonable person could conclude that Trump is suggesting that people should commit violence against the news organization because he tweeted a wrestling gif. That's fucking stupid. That's asinine. However, by CNN making that claim, they made an outrageous claim, and everybody jumped on CNN's back, and now CNN has become a meme, and everybody's talking about them again. And Trump continually says the failing CNN, the ratings are down, et cetera, et cetera. They're not. I looked into it.
But wait, listen, no. Then you didn't look at the right data. CNN's rating numbers have plummeted. Piece came out, I think, 48 hours ago that they're now below Nick at Night. I mean, their ratings over the I think the last week of June, first week of July, and the sort of rolling 30-day period are through the floor. I'm
talking in 2017. The 2017 ratings aggregate overall are up.
Yeah, but you got to look at it from a timeline point of view. When did their collapse? When did their true collapse begin? 3 weeks ago, when 3 reporters had to resign based on the fact that it was confirmed fake news. Right? There've been 2 or 3 incidents in a condensed period over the last month where CNN has wound up with a whole bunch of egg on its face. And I get your point on Donald Trump, but where Donald Trump comes unstuck is when he beats up on the little guy. When Donald Trump beats up on a sort of big opponent, like the mainstream media, like an entire country, like a business entity, he then is seen as the little guy standing up against the big machine. He's David, they're the Goliath.
Right.
Where he comes out as a total prick, and I don't necessarily agree with that view, is when he's seen as mimicking a disabled guy during his campaign, or when he starts getting personal against a particular individual. That's Goliath beating up on David. What CNN did here is they're the Goliath. They beat up on David, and I don't know what kind of strategy they could have thought about on the front end, but this was never going to work.
Well, if you want to say the metrics of success here are that everybody is talking about you, it worked because everybody is talking about CNN. Maybe that's what they wanted. Now, the other thing, the other point that you made is that CNN extorted this guy or potentially blackmailed him. At the very least, you could say it sounds like blackmail. It sounds like a threat. So I got an article here from The Hill. The spokesman denied CNN had made a deal with the Reddit user and said that the inclusion of the controversial statement in their piece was intended to show that no deal had occurred. CNN never made any deal of any kind with the user. And that's why, Rucka, earlier on when I buzzed you, I said that's not the case, because it says, in fact, CNN included its decision to withhold the user's identity in an effort to be completely transparent that there was no deal. And they said that the CNN reporter who reported the story claimed on Twitter Wednesday that he had been contacted by Solo after the publication of the piece, saying that he was in total agreement with the story. Now, CNN, so the reason CNN, they're saying they included that statement in there was in an effort to be transparent and show to people that this guy didn't reach out to them and say, oh, please, if I publish this apology, will you please omit my name? That's not what happened. This guy published the apology before the piece, and CNN had no contact with him. They made no deal together.
But they threatened him via public channels. I mean, I don't know what the relevance is about them picking up the phone and having a one-on-one with the guy to say, hey, do this, do that. Instead, they just went via Twitter and essentially accomplished the same goal. And, you know, it's transparency. What a bunch of baloney, right? It's, you know, if every person doing a good deed tells the world that they could have done a bad deed, but here they are choosing the high road.
And they reserve the right.
And they reserve the right to then take the low road later. I'm sorry, that just sort of, the entire thing just derails. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I could have killed you today. I chose not to. Aren't I a good guy? But if you piss me off, I reserve the right.
If you happen to post any memes that make CNN look bad, they might just have to publish your name later. I mean, it's their journalistic integrity.
Well, look, I think they should have published his name from the outset. That's what they normally do.
Right.
Hold on, because Mike, you also said this would have been less of a big deal if they just released his name. I've never heard of somebody's name being shared on CNN or anywhere for posting some dumb shit on Reddit.
No,
they do that all the time. They absolutely do all the time.
Wait, let's deconstruct your statement.
Okay.
So, firstly, I want to go back to what I said before it's misinterpreted. I'm not saying that had they done that, that would have been a good thing. I still think it's a bad thing. I still think it's the bullying of a private citizen. However, come on. Every day there are stories about some person putting something up on Twitter. I mean, was Rob Kardashian outed for his terrible tweets against Black
you're
China?
You're making like a Maddox argument
right
now.
No.
A smart one.
Rob Kardashian is a
in
celebrity.
The public eye. Fair point, but the idea that individuals aren't outed for bad behavior in mainstream media, I mean, that happens all the time. And I'm saying it's not a good thing, but had it happened in this instance, I think it would have been less of a big deal.
Maybe, but it would have been a very big deal to me and possibly to many others, the fact that somebody's name was shared publicly for posting a dumbass meme on Reddit.
They do that all the time.
That's insane.
I'll tell you when. First of all, they've been doing that to Banksy for years.
Who's Banksy?
Banksy, the graffiti artist. Come on, Banksy.
He's a famous graffiti artist?
The most famous
again,
in the world.
So we've got Rob Kardashian and Banksy. I'm talking about Han-ass Solo, a guy with 3 followers
Rucka,
on Twitter.
It's trivial. It's literally trivial to prove you wrong here. I could just sit here and Google for 5 minutes and pull up some names.
I'd like to know.
But wait, again, I just, sorry, if I could step in here. I think there's 2 parts to the argument. The one you're wrong and the one you're right. Okay. The one that you're wrong on is the one that you're arguing, which is, are people outed every day? Totally. You go, this is what you need to Google. Go CNN.com and just read 5 articles. You'll see people's names being outed for doing stupid shit. All right. But your point where you're right, the piece of the point where you're right is over something so trivial, over something so stupid that it could only backfire and make CNN look bad. I totally agree. This doesn't rise to the level of something that necessitates a doxing. It doesn't.
Well, okay, so I don't think that this people are saying it's doxing, but it's only because of this threat that they included in here. This last line, had they not included that last line, I think nobody would have batted an eye. If they had not said CNN reserves the right to publish his identity, should any of that change, no one would have batted an eye.
Well, I would still be really pissed off at the language when they're saying, because you apologized for your racist tweets, we're not... fuck you.
But
it's
CNN,
the fucking internet.
But CNN... hold on. You can't just dismiss things that happen on the internet. Oh, it's just the internet. Because a lot of bad shit happens on the internet.
Yes, but it's a fucking... It's a Reddit guy with no influence, very little influence. It's just some guy on the internet posting dumb shit.
It's not.
Listen,
no. I really want to drill in on this point. What are you gonna say, Mike?
No, I think what got under my skin was both this sort of explicit threat around the behavior, but B, it was the arrogance, the sort of dance monkey dance type thing that they made the guy do in order for them to get to this judgment of purity that they got to. They sort of evaluated the guy, made him squirm a little bit, put him under the magnifying lens, and okay, you just made it. Okay, so we'll let it go this one time. Exactly as Rucka saying, fuck you for putting yourself in the position of the judge on whether my behavior deserves your judgment. If you just look on the internet and go to like Giphy or any other content aggregator, if you look at the crap that they probably have against CNN that predated this guy, it's probably 100 times worse and more offensive. It's out there.
Sure.
The only reason why these guys were enraged is because they've got an ongoing war against Donald Trump. It's pretty non-debatable. And so they use this opportunity to say that Donald Trump is pushing violence against journalists. Side note on that point, what they've done is they've created themselves an insurance policy.
Right,
okay? Right. And you know this.
Yeah.
At some point, some journalist somewhere is going to get hit up and killed, hurt, whatever. And some schmuck on CNN is going to say, told you so. And,
you went too
what
far.
They're doing is they're laying the groundwork now for future criticism of Donald Trump. That's the only reason why this is even a topic, is because Donald Trump retweeted it. The content was already on the internet.
Yeah. Well, so here's something, Mike. So we were both speculating here. You're speculating that CNN is laying the groundwork for a potential I told you so down the line if a journalist gets hit.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm also speculating that CNN may have intentionally been boneheaded here to get the publicity because they did. We're both just speculating here. But here's something, Rucka. This is on point. Because the other night, Rucka and I kind of had a heated debate on a Twitch stream about this. And this is the impression that most people have on the internet that I'm seeing that are castigating CNN for this, right? They're saying, oh, CNN went after some 15-year-old kid. CNN went after some 15-year-old kid. Guys, he's not 15. The person who did this is 37 years old. It's not irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. It's not. And I'll tell you why it's not irrelevant. This guy who did this is 37 years old, and the side attacking CNN is just as misleading as CNN. If you guys give the impression that they're 15-year-old, it makes CNN sound a little bit more egregious. It makes CNN sound like they're bullying a child, but they're not. This guy's a 37-year-old man.
Man-child.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you why it's relevant. I'll tell you why it matters. Who said this, how old he is, and everything about him. First of all, why it matters who made the GIF is because the president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, arguably, is spending his time tweeting animated GIFs.
Oh, God. The most powerful man on Twitter.
No, the most powerful man in the world is spending his fucking time tweeting animated GIFs. Doesn't that bother anyone?
Not at all. This is the lame-ass journalists who say, and all the opposition's like, hey, man, do your job. You're at the G20. What are you doing spending your time making these comments? Hey, have you guys heard of multitasking? The guy could have been
doesn't work. There's no such thing.
Excuse me. The guy could have been taking a shit and retweeted. Was this a zero-sum game where he could have been negotiating a peace accord with a country while he retweeted, or what could he have been wiping instead of retweeting?
Mike,
the argument is spurious. It's
absolutely
totally
not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'll tell you why. You are making an assumption here that that's all the time that went into tweeting this GIF. This GIF, essentially
retweeting. It's a one push button activity.
Okay, but here's the point I want to make. If that GIF came from Reddit, why is Donald Trump spending his time on Reddit? Which forums is he reading?
Do you think that Donald Trump was trolling Reddit, or do you think one of his hundreds of lackeys surfaced this up to him and say, hey, dude, check this funny thing out?
I don't know, to be honest.
Really? Do you think Donald Trump is on Reddit?
I think that Donald Trump spends a lot of his time doing bullshit. He watches Fox and Friends and tweets out at them every single fucking day.
Well, turning on Fox News takes one press of a button. I can't figure out Reddit, so I doubt Donald Trump can.
I don't think he's sort of going to the bowels of the subreddit,
right.
the Donald subreddit where this guy was there.
Okay, let's just make an assumption that Donald Trump has not checked Reddit. Let's not get to the bottom of it in case he has, because I think it's important. I think it's important that the most powerful man in the world is choosing to spend his time reading Reddit if he is. I think that's relevant. I also think I'll get to your objections. I also think that the books, the magazines, even the music that the president of the United States listens to is of interest to the people he's ruling. If our president spent all his time reading Karl Marx and Lenin and Trotsky, I think a lot of U.S. citizens...
is Obama still president? I had no idea.
Well, yeah, keep your jokes coming.
That was cringe. Mike, let's accept the cringe when we're responding.
But you guys are strengthening my argument here. Because if the president of the United States is reading a ton of communist literature, wouldn't you want to know? Wouldn't you want to know why the president of the United States is reading a lot of communist literature?
Nope, only if it impacts policy.
Well, then
he could be reading Anne of Green Gables for all I care, as long as he is making good choices.
Okay, but it is impacting policy.
He could be watching trans porn for all I care, as long as he's making good choices.
Is Clinton in office again?
I think a lot of U.S. citizens would be interested to know the type of reading material that our president is spending his time reading. And here's why it matters. Trump has retweeted racist people in the past, like in April of 2016. He retweeted this guy. His name is keksec_org. And he said, hey, real Donald Trump, your policies will make this state and country great again, make America great again.
Wow. This is a slippery slope. You're now...
Wow.
So let's just follow the logic.
Yeah.
Somehow CNN is being defended because they got upset with a piece of content that was tweeted out by a guy who did it days before Donald Trump did it, a piece of content that was created years ago. By association, Donald Trump is not guilty. Donald Trump is being held to this absurdly high standard that anyone within his universe that has any black mark against them is somehow an indicator of his black soul. Obama got married by Reverend Jeremiah Wright, for God's sake. If we're going to start at the association of evil, then you're going to start with the birther movement. You're going to start with the fact that he grew up in Indonesia, and so on and so forth. So please, if we're going to hold everybody up to the standard of like, hey, he once retweeted a guy that might have done something a little shady and untoward in his past, then he's being lambasted at the same time. That is just bogus.
Okay, well, it's not just once. He retweeted this guy 6 times.
Okay.
This is from The Hill. The user, who goes by the name Jason Bergkamp, writes for an online publication called Vanguard 14. According to its website, the publication covers issues like white nationalism and genocide. And, you know, 14 refers to the famous 14 words of white nationalism, or maybe not that famous, thankfully, but it's the 14 words, which is, we should secure a future for white people and our children, something like that, right? That's the 14 words of white nationalism.
Sounds like the white version of Jeremiah Wright.
Anyway, in January, Trump... that's a straw man argument. I'm not defending Obama here. And I'm not defending Obama's association with Jeremiah Wright or Jeremy Wright, whatever. But in January, Trump retweeted a user with the handle White Genocide TM. Okay. And in November of last year, he shared an image from that user that depicted false homicide statistics, claiming that black people were killing more white people than white people were. That's what Trump tweeted. And then a search of Trump's Twitter history showed that he has retweeted praise from the Dutch white supremacist at least 6 times since launching the campaign last year. Now, one time, okay, it happened by accident. He's kind of careless. He's taking a shit. He just hit retweet. It just takes one button. 6 times?
If you're going to do that, you have to have the same standard for other people in his position, right? So that's the first point. The second point is, again, I care more about actions than words. So again, I hate to make the comparison to Obama, but it's sort of impossible not to, because he was his direct predecessor. The fact that the guy made arguably racist decisions through Eric Holder around who to prosecute and who not to prosecute. The fact that he made decisions like funding a state sponsor of terror like Iran. The fact that he made other questionable decisions, including having Loretta Lynch meet with Bill Clinton on the tarmac. Is he now going to be held to the same standard that the guy is evil, bad, incompetent because he had satellites around him. By the way, those are more direct satellites and those are direct actions that somehow blacken his name. Look, if you're going to call out Trump for 6 times tweeting some guy with a bad handle and turning a blind eye to policy, we really have very little to discuss, because I want to say that actions speak louder than words. And what the Trump hating tsunami that's been happening in this country over the last 7 months is paying attention to the red herrings, to all the shiny little objects that are reinforcing the negative stereotypes about Trump. If you don't like his immigration policy, if you don't like his pulling out of the Paris Treaty, talk about that. What he reads, what he does in the background, if it's a conduit to those bad decisions, fine. If it's totally tangential, who cares?
Okay, fair point. But I do think that people are did hold Obama to the same standard, because the only reason we know about the Loretta Lynch meeting on the tarmac is because people had a problem with it. And the only reason we know about his reverend that said all the racist things against white people is because people had a problem with it. I think that both presidents have been held to that standard. And you want to speak about policy? Let's talk about policy. That immigration ban is nothing but racist.
Garbage.
No, I absolutely his Muslim immigration ban. The president of Israel, the prime minister of Israel, denounced it.
I don't think so.
Yes, he did. Paul Ryan denounced it.
No, maybe
the president of Israel denounced it.
Of Israel, who's somewhat powerless. I don't think the prime minister would
who's the current prime minister of Israel?
Netanyahu.
Netanyahu. He absolutely denounced it. I can look it up if you'd like, but it's absolutely true. He denounced it. Paul Ryan denounced it. Obama denounced it. Everybody denounced it, because at its heart, it is racist. Not racist. Sorry, Islam is not a race. I know, but it's bigoted. It is bigoted, because if you want to solve the problem of getting, say, terrorists out of your country, right? Nobody wants them in our country. But if you just say outright, okay, these Muslim nations, or if you have this faith, you can't enter our country, it makes the assumption that no one will ever become Muslim in that country again. You have to ban the Quran in order to prevent people from becoming Islamic and being homegrown terrorists like the San Bernardino shooters.
Okay. Here's why you're wrong again.
Okay.
And these arguments have been beaten to death, right? The fact is that the 6 nominated countries were the same ones that were nominated by Obama for being state sponsors of terror. They were the 6 countries identified by Obama, number 1. Number 2, if you wanted to make it a Muslim ban, you would have gone after the most populous Muslim countries in the world.
Saudi Arabia.
Indonesia,
right.
Malaysia. It's not who you think is the obvious. It's the ones who you think, Pakistan. It's the ones that are less obvious.
Right.
So it's just your point just falls on its face. It's not a Muslim ban, because if it was a Muslim ban, it would be a Muslim ban. Secondly, the selectivity around the countries identified by the Trump administration was left entirely in the hands of his predecessor, Obama. So again, just a total nothing burger of an argument.
Well, okay, but Trump made the case that there was an urgency to push through that Muslim ban, didn't he? Because he just pushed it through. It caused chaos at airports everywhere around the world.
I'm not defending Trump blindly, and I'm not defending his rollout of the policy. I think he bungled it big time. I think he is
bigly.
So he's too much of a blowhard. I think what he does is his mouth gets ahead of him. I think it's unfortunate. I think he has good intentions, but I would 100% agree that the rollout of it was horribly done, and it backfired. Correctly so.
I have that quote here from Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It says here, Wednesday, he rejects Donald Trump's call for a ban on Muslims entering the United States. Now, it's important to note that Donald Trump originally said a complete and total ban on Muslims entering the United States.
He made a classical, terrible error during his campaign by saying something like that, because in fact it did not reflect what his ultimate ban was. And that was the entire basis for those 2 federal judges blocking it, in that they looked at Donald Trump's intent. That is the core argument for his ban being stopped on the front end, is because of his intent. Does the president have the executive right to stop anybody from coming into the country that he wishes? Yes. They didn't argue that he doesn't have the power. They argued his intent, and that was because his own mouth got ahead of him on the campaign trail.
Okay, well, that may be the case. Then he's negligent, and he made a mistake, and he shouldn't have said that, because it emboldened a lot of bigotry against Islamic people. And this is what Netanyahu said. He says, the state of Israel respects all religions and strictly adheres to the rights of all its citizens. At the same time, Israel is fighting a radical Islamic threat, which is attacking Muslims, Christians, and Jews alike, and it threatens the entire world, Netanyahu added. So Netanyahu himself spoke out against that ban, and the reason people have the impression that it's a complete and total Muslim ban is because Trump said it's a complete and total Muslim ban.
I totally agree, but this is the paradox. He said something that he didn't then execute, and your quote, you read Netanyahu. He's against the Muslim ban, which doesn't exist.
Right. Well, the way Obama...
He's against a theoretical construct of a ban that would have banned an entire religion. That is and was never the policy.
Okay. Well, fair enough. I think we're getting off in the woods a little bit.
Let me quickly throw in all fairness, if Obama had retweeted an image of himself body slamming Fox News, Fox would be reporting it as, oh, since when is the president threatening a news source? What are we in? The fucking communist fucking what? Like, who is this guy? What is this? Fidel Castro? Like, there would be outrage on the other side, just as like the Maddoxes of the world gave Obama an 8-year pass, but now is hypercritical of Trump. So too the hyper Republicans. They criticized Obama's actions and are totally cool with Trump doing similar type of shit. But we are getting way off the top. The topic is not did Trump do an okay thing by tweeting this. We've been discussing, it's become for the last 20 minutes. Since when? How is it okay for Trump to tweet this? That's not the point.
That's right.
It's okay for the tweet to become a quote story, but I'm still having a really hard time believing that it's totally normal for a shit poster to be exposed. His real name, a shit poster, a guy who did not choose to be famous, a guy who did not create polished shit posting as Maddox and myself, and even we would be resentful if CNN were to dox us. So this guy posted some shit on Twitter, didn't expect it to be retweeted, and now his name being given out is even on the table. To me, I have a really hard time with that.
It's a horrible thing, and I'll just say something. And there's a role. Particularly in the toxic climate of political correctness and sort of social outcasting of people that don't toe the line, I think there is a massive role for anonymity. I think there is a massive role for the safety. People sort of call them keyboard warriors, but I think other than that ability to vent one's expression without the fear of the repercussions, the ability to hide behind a handle, a fake name.
Mike is gesturing to both of us.
Right. Hello. Yeah. So the ability to do that is really integral to our ability to critique those in power. And if we were to unmask everybody based on sort of the media's judgment of whether that critique crossed their subjective line, I agree with Rucka. It sets a horrible precedent and a chilling effect on people that find this to be the only way they can express their true feelings.
Okay, I think that there is a balance. There has to be a balance between anonymity, which, by the way, is not guaranteed. You are not guaranteed the right to anonymity. However, you make a compelling argument that anonymity provides us the opportunity to criticize people who would censure you, like the government. If the government is going to come after you for your opinions, then yeah, absolutely, anonymity is an important tool to have. However, Rucka, something you said about this guy makes it sound diminutive, which is you called him a shit poster. And I think that when you call someone a shit poster or a troll or someone who's just doing it for the lulz, it kind of dismisses and minimizes the impact of the things that he said.
I was referring more to his status in the world. He doesn't have a news station. He doesn't have a big platform.
He's a nobody.
Finish your point.
He's a nobody.
What CNN's argument is that not only did they not release this guy's information, his name, for in case any of that changes, right? But they also did it for his own benefit, because they said that, and I'll tell you why in a second. They said that had they released his name, this guy's life may have been in jeopardy. his job definitely would have been in jeopardy. Because if you looked into a little bit of his background, his Reddit posts,
irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant, because if the mass at large looked into his
anti-Semitic, bigoted, racist BS that he spouted as a shit poster before.
No, it's not shit posting. Because here's the thing. Look, guys, you can't just hide behind shit posting. You can't hide behind the label of troll your whole fucking life.
That's the whole point. You can.
No, because his Reddit history here says I can't even say it. It's F N words and fuck you. And then he says, well, time to change the sidebar image again. And he says, fuck off N word. And then he says, N-words are 13% of the population, yet commit more than 50% of violent crime. He says here he carries a gun, a.k.a. N-word repellent.
Is this with a hard R or a soft
with
A?
a hard
because
R?
These could be lyrics from the latest Dr. Dre CD.
Well, they're not. They're words that this shithead posts on Reddit.
All right.
Now rise for the honorable blah, blah, blah. He called him an N-word. He says, what fires 200 shots into a crowd and only hits the pavement? An N-word.
Why are you going down this road?
Well,
again, you're establishing a very different standard. If this is what worries you about the guy, then God help Reddit. They should just shut down the entire site, because a large percentage of what's on there, and even darker parts of the web, is exactly that content. It is exactly that. So I think your argument is, and that's not all. So in other words, aside from the fact that you're losing the argument on the sort of surface facts, the fact that the guy did nothing wrong and that CNN really bullied the guy, you're going down the road of like, but wait a minute, there's also some other bad things about the guy. Like if you look into the dark corners of his existence, you're gonna sort of reveal other bad things that the guy did.
No. So sorry to interrupt, but it's not because I'm trying to say this guy's a bad guy or good guy. It doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. What I'm saying is CNN's argument is that had they released this guy's name and the public at large found these types of quotes, I think a few irrational people might have words with him.
Yes.
Right?
But again, if CNN is going to do the magnanimous thing, if it's going to take the high road, it does it. It doesn't then broadcast about the fact that it did the nice thing, and then it doesn't threaten to pull the nice thing if the conditions change. So again, this thing falls flat on its face. If they had chosen not to reveal his name because his life would have been fucked up,
right?
And
they should have stated that.
They should have just the highest road is just not reveal his name and not even talk about not revealing his name. The next lower road is not reveal his name and say that they didn't reveal his name. The lowest road that they took was both of those two plus the threat. I mean, it just totally.
Okay, well, that's a good point. But here's what CNN said as to why they felt it was relevant to know who this guy was. Here's a clip from CNN.
The White House will not say where the president got the video, but a senior White House official said today it was not from Reddit, which is a popular internet messaging board. The problem is we and other media outlets who have searched can't find any evidence of it existing anywhere but Reddit before the president picked it up. Now, why does that matter? Because if he got it from that source, a whole bunch of new questions about racism, bigotry, and violence come into play.
Now, I think that that's a fair point. I think that if the president did get this from Reddit, and he's trawling through Reddit, or his assistants are, or his associates are, I think it's important to know if our president, if CNN did do this investigative piece, right, and they found out that that Donald Trump was actually on Reddit, which you know what, to be honest, I think he might be. I think Donald Trump might be an actual shit poster on Reddit. I
mean, he does display some of the characteristics.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little bit outside the age group, but maybe not so much.
He's the ultimate moderator of the Donald and all of Reddit.
Maybe literally the moderator.
He may be. But this guy posted, again, this Han asshole solo. He posted this this meme that he made. I think he made it. It says, something strange about CNN, can't quite put my finger on it. And then it shows all of the CNN anchors, and all of them have the Israel star on it, on their next to their names. And he's making the implication that everyone at CNN is Jewish, and they have an agenda in favor of the Israeli state or something like that. That's the kind of stuff this guy posted on here. And then CNN, and why this matters is here's another clip from that same CNN video. Listen to this.
Was apparently first posted by a Reddit user who goes by this online name and who has also laid claim to it. That user of Reddit's online message board reacted enthusiastically. Wow, I never expected my meme to be retweeted by the God Emperor himself. I am honored. But others are worried, including the Anti-Defamation League, which surveyed the user's post and found a consistent record of racism, anti-Semitism, and bigotry. This individual traffics in online hatred and at times violent rhetoric. And the ADL seems to call out the president, saying, when those on the fringes of society feel their messaging is getting mainstream attention, that should raise alarms.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Very little, okay? I'm someone that's directly, well, at least theoretically directly defended by the ADL. They have gone off the rails over the last few years with the new leadership, and I'm calling them out on their shit right now.
Oh, shit.
You know what I'm talking about. They have absolutely just abdicated their responsibility. The ADL saying something that purportedly defends folks like me, including that last thing with the Star of David, screw them. They're being the Chicken Little hysterics that everyone on the left is being these days. And I'll say it again, and I've got a feeling I'm going to say it multiple times today. If that is the standard by which you are measuring people on the internet and whether their content essentially deserves them being doxed, then we are in a world of trouble. So everything that you're reading about the other guy's posts, his purported stream of bigotry and hatred and violence is all BS, because so is 80% of the internet. Go.
Well, okay, it's not. I'm going to argue that it's not, because according to the ADL, and I won't just use the ADL as a statistic here, there is a sharp...
BLM as well?
No.
Okay.
No, but there is a sharp rise in hate crimes in the country. Not just our country, but around the world. This is from just a few months back. A Washington Sikh man was shot during a racist attack. A 39-year-old Kent, Washington man was shot in the arm after being accosted by a white man who told him, "Go back to your own country." Then he opened fire. Here's another story. A Quebec mosque
You're right.
shooting
It should have been
happened.
doxed. You got me.
Well, no, I'm saying that the argument here is that these people who go and quote shit post on the internet and they write these
full SJW now.
No.
Now you're drawing a link between a guy who posts this garbage and the guy who goes out and shoots a guy with a turban.
Follow me here.
It's hard to follow. The dots you're connecting are like miles apart. And essentially what you're saying, again, is that this guy somehow is responsible for the bad deeds of extremists. This is the same as Punch a Nazi. This is the same as a bunch of other, where it's like, hold a guy accountable for his individual actions.
Yeah.
He, to the point you were making at the beginning of the show, he doesn't have a responsibility because he's essentially a nobody, but he does have to live with the consequences. So when he makes a decision to go online and shitpost, to your point around no guarantee of anonymity, he's got to know that there's a probability that, you know, the kimono will be opened, he'll be revealed. If that's the case and he decides to go ahead with his behavior, hey, I have no sympathy for the guy.
Let me ask you this. I have a ton of examples here of racist attacks that have happened around the country, around the world. This mosque that was shot up, 6 people were killed. This guy was a huge Trump supporter. He was in a Facebook group called the Alt-Right. It happens over and over and over again. Now, at some point...
What's your point?
My point is this. At some point, when you have enough people espousing hatred and racist ideology, even if it is a shitpost, on some level, a few people will probably take it as serious, and a few people will probably think that it's real. Because when you see that guy's Reddit posts and he says, "Hey, this N-word should be shot," or "This N-word is responsible for killing 50% of white people," there is no context there that says he's joking. No one knows who that person is.
So when Obama made that statement around showing up to a knife fight with a gun,
I'm not defending Obama.
No. I'm arguing your point. He was then responsible for gun violence for some period of time. That was a ripple effect of that stupid statement. Yes,
possibly. I'm not denying that, but I'm saying that aggregately, okay, on the internet, when you tolerate enough of this stuff, do you think that it could influence people? Because where does racism come from? Where does bigotry come from? Where do you think? I'm honestly asking.
Han asshole solo. it all comes from him.
No, but
that's your point.
No, I don't think this one guy is this guy's a drop in the bucket.
But
there are
my
millions
point,
like
and
him.
that's Rucka's point.
Okay.
He's a drop in the bucket, and that's what he should be held accountable. That's the standard that he should be held accountable to. He is not standing broadcasting to millions of people with the intent to incite in any way whatsoever. He is exactly the same as millions of other drops in the bucket. Go.
Well, millions of drops in the bucket cause a dam to break, don't they?
So then let's dox them all.
No, let's not.
What are you proposing?
Well, I'm saying that we shouldn't be so flippant about this kind of stuff, like just calling it shitposting and trolling, because it's not. And the conceit of trolling, at some level, should be entertainment. On some level, should be that you're getting a laugh. These aren't funny. This guy's not funny.
Who's the arbiter of funny?
Well, let me, you know what? Let's all be the arbiters of funny, because when I read his quotes, no one in this room was laughing.
I was confused why you were bringing it up.
Yeah.
But is it funny? I mean, if I read this
I don't know.
he's
Read
just
them
saying-
again.
Wait. Hold on a second. Is some arbitrary metric of humor now the litmus test by which posts should be allowed to stay up?
No.
That's what you're suggesting.
But that's hate.
It's hateful.
It's hateful.
It's
though.
hateful. And I don't think, I think this guy's...
hold on. If that's true, then I should be personally offended by that.
Well, that's your choice.
No,
I see this thing, and look,
you're offended on my behalf.
No, I'm not offended. I'm not saying I'm offended by this. This obviously, this could be tongue in cheek. I see a bunch of people with Israeli stars on it. I mean, I don't know. It seems this could be something I would consider a shit post. But the other stuff where he's saying,
maybe the ADL doesn't.
F-U, N-word. I'm sure the ADL doesn't. They have a much less stringent standard than me, or much more rather. But when he says, N-words are the 13% of the population. F-U, N-word, and they commit 50% of violent crimes. If you carry a gun, aka N-word repellent.
Hang on. I need you to break down what your I'm not saying those are tasteful posts. They're not. I need you to explain to me what you're offended by. Is it the use of the word of the N-word, or is it the statistics?
I'm offended by the use of the word troll, because this guy is not a troll. This guy's a coward. This guy said these things, and then he came out and he backtracked like a fucking pussy. Oh, here's what he said. Here's his apology that was unprompted by CNN. He says, I do not advocate violence against the press.
Wait, unprompted by CNN?
Yeah.
The fact that they're publicly threatening him is not prompting?
No. He posted this before that article came out. He posted this. He posted his apology before CNN's threat came out.
So he suddenly saw the light.
Well, I'll tell you what.
And based on a no prompt, the guy just he just decided to apologize and wipe himself off of Reddit.
Yes.
With no catalyst.
Right, because he knew his history. I think here's my argument.
His conscience caught up to him.
No, it's not a conscience. I think this guy is as unvirtuous as it gets. He has no conviction. He has no character. He has no integrity, because he said these racist things, and he was afraid that people were going to start snooping around, and they're going to find out he said all these things. And then he came out and he says, the internet, social media is capable of many great things, and this is an example of the not so great things I can do. Trolling to get a reaction out of people is not the best way to make a point, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. This guy's a coward. He's afraid he was going to get outed. He was afraid people were going to find out who he was.
What's the definition of cowardice? And is this not revealing his true identity? Is that the definition of lack of cojones here?
No, because I think this guy, most likely, based on what I've read, probably is a little bit racist. He probably is a little bit racist.
No. I'm asking you to explain your coward comment.
I'll tell you why. I'm getting there.
What attribute?
I'm getting there. Because he's racist, and he's not willing to stand up for his shitty, racist beliefs, that makes him a coward.
By doing what? By revealing himself to the world?
No, by this cowardly apology. Fucking stand up for your belief. If you're a racist shithead, and if you actually believe that shit, don't apologize. Don't apologize. Don't apologize unless you mean it.
You're offended by his apology now.
Absolutely. This is bullshit. This apology is bullshit. He did this to save himself. That's all it is. This is all it is. This guy's racist. He got caught, and then he came out with some chicken shit apology. Oh, I didn't mean to hurt anybody, except when
are we talking him or Kathy Griffin with Lisa Bloom?
I'm
sorry,
Kathy
because
Griffin.
this is about every 48 hours. There's somebody apologizing for some BS with a gun to their head.
This guy,
he's no different to anybody else.
This guy was unprompted by CNN. He apologized on his own volition.
That's just an absurd statement. It's an absurd statement. Okay, so the guy's got a history of racist, bigoted, misogynistic behavior.
Right.
And without anything happening, he just decides to apologize and wipe himself off the net.
Right. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like
what prompted it?
I'll tell you what prompted it. It's kind of like man, I forget the senator. There was someone a while back. Weiner, Anthony Weiner, or there was
Thank
a girl.
God he was not a senator, but
Congressman Anthony. Was he
He was a congressman.
Anthony
failed
Weiner,
mayoral candidate. That's how I like to remember him.
When people started snooping around his history, he started deleting it. There was a girl who got hired.
People didn't need to snoop with that guy.
That's fair.
All right.
Well, here's a better example. SNL. About 6 months ago, there was a girl who was hired on SNL. And she had this extensive Twitter history. And then people started going back in her Twitter history, and they found a few off-color jokes she made about Mexicans or something like that. Which, by the way, I think is, clearly she was trying to make jokes. These jokes weren't funny, but she was trying. And people started going down that rabbit hole, and she deleted all of her tweets preemptively. Not just her tweets, but her Reddit history, her other social media history, and I think it's because they want to save themselves. I don't think it's because they didn't mean the things that they said at the time, which, by the way, people can generally suss out when someone's racist and someone's trying to make a joke. People make jokes and satire and things all the time. Rucka's had a number of songs that may have had like some questionably racist stuff in there.
No, I play that to my kids. I have no problem with that.
But I don't think Rucka's racist. I don't think most people consider Rucka racist. You can tell generally.
By the way, if we're gonna give this guy's name out and hold him to the fire over shit he posted on Reddit, they're coming after me next, and they're even coming after you, Maddox. Give it some time.
Believe me, they already are.
You'll be fucking. You fucking have no principles whatsoever. If you want to read this guy's memes and be like, oh, this guy means it. He wants to go out and shoot black people, dude. You're out of touch.
I didn't say that.
You're just like CNN and the ADL and all these people that just don't understand what the fuck the internet is. We don't know this guy. All right, he could. His best friend could be black. He could be fucking. Like he could
be black.
He could be black.
He could be a black
dude.
Jew.
It's people post retarded shit on the internet every day.
Martin Luther King. He might be the Martin Luther King reincarnate. We don't know, guys. Let's
he
not
could be
assume
Sean King from Black Lives Matter,
dude. And it's not. It's not only about like, did he mean it? Did he not mean it? People like to go on the internet and post outrageous, offensive stuff that they know they're not allowed to say.
No.
And the worse society gets. Like on telling you what you're not allowed to say, the more people want to say it on the internet. There's a neuroses that's building up everywhere. I'm not saying this guy's character should determine if his privacy is respected or not.
Bingo. This is exactly the point. Like the question for today was, did CNN cross the line?
Right.
Not did Schmuckface cross the line? Hannah's whole solo, right? That is not the question, because that question there is no answer to it. It depends on your personal view. If you're personally offended by his content, then he crossed the line. If you're not personally offended, then he didn't cross the line. The question is, did Goliath, being CNN, cross the line? And what our diversion to debating the merits or demerits of this guy's actions is accomplishing is letting CNN off the hook and essentially saying, if we feel like the guy's actions were bad enough, that somehow warrants CNN taking the actions that it did. Right. And that is a very dark rabbit hole that we've gone down. This is not the question we should be debating. We should be asking ourselves, do private citizens who express their thoughts freely based on the Constitution, do they have to live in fear of being exposed by media entities that have got the power to ruin lives if they feel that the media entities might think it's a little too off color? And the answer is quite clearly no.
Well, I guess that's the debate then, whether or not CNN crossed the line. And I think, Mike, you hit the nail on the head with the three possible scenarios early on in the debate. The three possible scenarios here with CNN, which is, the first is they could have simply published this article and not mentioned it, right? That would have been taking the high road and not threatening him. The second would have been publishing the article and with his name, which may have put him at risk. And the third is the worst of both, which is make the threat and not publish his name, which makes him look like self-righteous assholes.
I'm going to suggest a fourth road.
What's that?
Which actually would have been the best.
What's that?
Play into it. So if CNN, because the inevitability of the Me Too's, right? You've seen the proliferation of the content that's basically derivative of this guy's meme, just spread all over the internet, right, over the last week. they would have absolutely won the day had they said something tongue-in-cheek or humorous and said, check this out, Donald Trump kicked our ass. Hey, everyone, create your own content, make us look like we've kicked his ass or something like that. If they had turned this into a humorous situation, being smart people in the media business, knowing that the backlash was coming, they would have turned this into a super moral high ground, and they ceded that territory idiotically.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, guys, this is, I think that's a really hearty debate. I think we've covered pretty much all the angles. You know what? We got a wrap-up coming up here.
Yeah.
Now it's time for...
Did you want to add anything, though?
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, Rucka wrap-up. Okay, not really sure where this is going to go, but that's what makes it so fun. The nature of it. Listen, we're living in a fucked up time. I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck to do anymore. We got the fucking like IRL, everyone acting outraged by everything and acting like anything someone posts on the internet is the same as publishing a book instructing the next Holocaust. And on the flip side, you've got people sitting in their basement from age 10 through death, posting ridiculous shit on the internet all day. Leave the fucking house. All right? What's your end goal here? What's the fucking plan, dude? Like, fucking trim your fucking neck, you fucking Don't say yeah. A, you have no right to speak during the wrap-up, and B, you are unshaven and sweaty.
I am
and you've been sitting at your computer for as long as you've been alive.
Almost.
Yeah. All right, listen. The world is getting fucked up. How about everyone stop acting outraged by shit posting? Maybe go easy on the shit posting or try to be a little bit more creative with it. And overall... CNN is just out of touch, dude. And I know there's like economic reasons why Trump won. I know there's immigration reasons he won, but like a big part of it, I agree with our guest a couple weeks ago, Sargon, a big part of it is the culture of political correctness. It's because the Hillarys of the world are just so fucking out of touch, the CNNs of the world, and probably Fox in their own way, I mean, have been out of touch, and maybe they're kind of starting to get it a little bit by having guys like Milo on and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm completely incoherent right now. I'm not making any fucking sense. Well, guys, we're out of touch. And by the way, the shit posters are out of touch too. They're out of touch with their fucking bar of soap. They're out of touch with the feel of a woman's breast. Guys, let's fucking bring the worlds together. How about all you shit posters learn how to fucking develop your talent? These are talented people. I don't know this hand-ass-hole solo particularly, but like these are funny guys.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to these YouTube fucking commentators, I'm always like, all you guys do is sit on your fucking live stream and talk shit about fucking Amy Schumer. Like, is she the bane of your existence? Fucking get on stage. Fucking create some content. Let's go get a job at CNN. Get on the air and fucking you tell them what you think.
You dox.
Yeah, and that's the wrap up.
It's a Rucka wrap up.
I would say one thing against that. What if we actually push it the other way and encourage shit posting? Get it all out of your system. Get so much shit posting out there that essentially the outrage gets diluted. It's sort of like an allergy treatment, right? You get exposure, you get habituation, right? Just get everybody out there to say the most outrageous things. Get it out of your systems over the next 12 months that people can't spend every minute of their day being outraged. There's no ability to distinguish between one piece of bad content and another. Everything is outrageous. Everything is offensive. Everything is triggering. Therefore, you're going to shut the fuck up, stop being snowflakes, and move on with your lives.
And by the way...
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
It's not only like CNN versus the internet. The internet itself is like part of the mob. You see how people like... I mean, it's a little bit collusion. CNN releases a bullshit headline, and next thing you know, Twitter, the top trending topic on Twitter is everyone's just lynching this person without it really knowing the full story. Like,
right.
The internet is all about the mob mentality.
It is the mob. It is the mob. I would say one thing, too, what you said, Mike. There is a physical analog to what you said, which is, we all become desensitized to it. It's flagellation. If you do it enough, you stop feeling it.
Totally.
but the word for that is callous. And I would hate that we as a society become more coarse or callous, where people are just walking around spouting the N-word. It's kind of like Idiocracy, where they have Fuddruckers, the restaurant, and then over time it just becomes buttfuckers.
Yeah, the problem with Idiocracy is that Mike Judge, he thought everything, like many people today, he thinks everything's about genetics. So dumb people are breeding faster than smart people. Absolutely not. People are inherently capable of being smart or capable of being dumb as fuck, depending if they choose to use their fucking rational faculty. And the emphasis that society puts on reason and thinking objectively is what determines the course of that history, dude. We have not evolved over the last 1,000 years. We have not changed, but our ideas have changed.
And I don't think, I think you're wrong. I don't think that the idea that you become desensitized or habituated to a particular thing makes you callous. It could make you tolerant. And the analogy that I used around allergies, when you start, you know, injecting with the allergen that drives you crazy, that doesn't make you a callous person. It makes you a person that can get on with their fucking lives because you're not covered in hives head to toe. This is not a question where we make people be unfeeling. It's where I was sort of saying tongue-in-cheek or facetiously around grow the shit posting. It's that it creates nuance. It creates the ability to discern what's important from what's not important. And if you have a sea of crap floating out there, you're no longer going to get triggered by an individual post because it's surrounded by a sea of other shitty posts. So you let it go, and like Rucka's saying, you get outside, you feel a woman's breast, and you use a bar of soap.
Yeah, and I just had the idea, Maddox, you should get on the internet and argue with your fans.
Yeah?
As you love doing.
Oh, yeah?
Do it on the YouTube version of the podcast. Wouldn't that be a good way to get audience members on there?
What, argue with people on YouTube? Yeah, maybe.
All right.
Great, another place for me to argue.
Just as I'm telling the shit posters to turn their shit posting into an art, why don't you turn your short-sighted obsession with arguing with your fans into a good way to grow the YouTube version of the podcast?
I do argue with my fans sometimes, usually through email, and it's because
perfect way.
It's
with a fake name.
It's because it's because through email sometimes I'll archive those, and I will later on my website at some point I'll be posting hate mail again. So that's coming. Anyway,
are you honassolo@gmail.com? I think I've seen your
You know
emails.
what? That wouldn't be the craziest idea today.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's get some headlines. Flying ants have invaded Wimbledon on the warmest day of the tournament. Let's get some real news, huh?
Yeah.
This is some real news.
Flying ants.
Yeah, this is from U.S. News. It said hundreds of flying ants swarmed around various courts at the All England Club, distracting players during their matches as the temperature warmed up considerably from the low 70s or 20s if you're not in the U.S. to nearly 85 degrees or 30. 30's only 85 degrees. That's not that hot.
That's about right.
It left the racket wielders swatting the bugs instead of the tennis balls at times. Oh, man, I bet the writer who wrote that so proud of himself.
Yep.
So proud of himself. Yeah. Oh, you're so clever. All right.
All right.
Well, I have one word.
Yeah.
Federer.
What's a Federer?
Oh my God.
Tennis player?
The tennis player. I don't give a shit about what you just said about Wimbledon. I just say go Federer.
Federer.
You don't know who Roger fucking Federer is?
No, never heard of him.
God.
I know Agassi, Andre Agassi.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Armenian.
The guy who retired in 2002?
That's the guy I know.
Oh, Jesus.
Let's talk about that guy.
Right.
What a handsome dude.
Armenians get one professional athlete. They never stop talking.
This is identity politics and identity sports.
Oh, dude.
Identity sports for this guy.
You have not seen national pride on the level of Armenians. Like, they just love being discussed. They love being acknowledged. When I wrote that Armenian song, people, like, they didn't even mind that I was mentioning the genocide. They just loved that I was acknowledging that it happened.
Yeah.
Which is another topic.
Wait, the guy, Alexis, is it Ohanian? What's his name? The Reddit guy? Who's Serena Williams' baby daddy? Is he Armenian?
If it ends in IAN, then most likely,
Then you should way be into Serena Williams.
She's on the cover.
Carrying half an Armenian inside.
Wait a second. She's the one on the cover of, I think, this month's Vanity Fair.
I barfed when I saw that. I'm so sick of this bullshit. You know, I love the pregnant body, but, you know, fucking Demi Moore did it 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah.
Enough.
We got one. Britney Spears did it too, right? Who else did it?
Yeah, but she did it on the streets. She didn't even do it for a magazine cover.
Well, anyway, there were a bunch of ants at Wimbledon. Here's another. Here's another story.
Racist.
Joey Chestnut wins the 10th title, gobbles a record 72 hot dogs. This is at Nathan's, the Nathan's World Hot Dog Eating Competition. Says Joey Jaws Chestnut gulped, chomped, and powered his way to a 10th title on Tuesday, continuing his record-setting reign as the chowing champion at the annual Nathan's famous July 4th hot dog eating contest. Shoving water-soaked buns, that always grosses me out. Have you seen that? How they eat
water-soaked what?
Water-soaked buns.
Oh,
So
they dip them in water?
they dip in water, and then they shove it down their throats like birds. So they're like jamming this shit down. They're not even eating it.
So I've seen clips of this stuff. Do the camera keep rolling for like 5 minutes after they've shoved, or are they immediately putting their finger down their throat and expelling everything?
No, they have to keep it down.
But for how long? When does the clock stop? Like, when is the winner declared?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure they have rules for that.
I want to have a camera follow these people for like 30 minutes afterwards. In fact, for a week, into the emergency room.
Yeah, listen to this. He downed 72 hot dogs and buns. So 72 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes to beat his own record. Can you believe that shit? And then it says, and hoist the mustard belt. Oh, it's the mustard belt? That's the dumbest fucking belt. Who wants a mustard belt? No one. Unless it has actual things of mustard in it.
Let's be honest. If this guy wasn't eating hot dogs, he'd be posting on Reddit. So, it's probably a
we're
better
keeping him
choice.
off the streets. We're keeping him off the internet. There we go.
I heard that he doesn't eat for the next 3 days after the thing. Because I asked the same question, and my brother told me that he just holds it in and doesn't need food. He just...
These guys are so weird. One of my friends did a documentary on competitive eating. It's fascinating stuff, and they train for it. It's like it's a full-time job almost. For months they have to train for it, and they eat just tons of cabbage to start swelling and getting their stomach to be able to be elastic enough to retain all those hot dogs. Anyway, during the competition, now there's some controversy. During Nathan's hot dog event, it says during the men's competition, 5 people were taken into custody for trying to disrupt the event, police said. The people appeared to be attempting to unfold a black banner. Now, guess who, okay? Is it ISIS, Antifa, or
Kathy Griffin?
No, they were trying to unfold a black banner before police stopped them and took them away.
I think I know.
You know?
PETA.
It is PETA, correct. Ding, ding, ding,
guys,
ding, ding.
Because you know what? They should have been soy sausages.
Yeah.
That immoral asshole.
It was PETA.
Where have they been?
Yeah, it says the demonstrators later issued a statement saying that they were from a group called Direct Action Everywhere and want Nathan's to stop holding the contest. But then People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, members were separately giving away free vegan hot dogs. Free vegan hot dogs? Is there any other kind? Outside the event, the spokeswoman Trisha Lebkucher said that the people arrested inside weren't affiliated with PETA. Okay, so close. I'm going to give it to you anyway, Mike. You got it. It's PETA.
Of course I got it.
It's fucking idiots. Mike, thank you again. What an amazing debate. I think, again, this is going to be another fan favorite. This one's going to go down in the books. I think it's one of our best debates. I think we covered every angle.
But the real question is, did you learn anything?
Absolutely not, Mike. I don't learn anything that I don't already say.
All right.
I got to think on that one.
Words to live by.
I say things, and then I write them down, and I reread them, and then I learn.
Okay. I got it. So it's a form of recycling, really.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
All right, Mike D, thank you again so much for coming on the show. We'd love to have you back. Amazing, amazing debate. Thank you, Rucka Ali, first hand on staff moderator. Thank you to Mikey Bolts.
Thank you, Maddox.
Swagmaster in Chief, but most of all, you're welcome.
Hey, sounds like this trap debate really got Maddox's wheels turning. I mean, we already know he's gay. We all know he's gay.
Yep.
But I'm not sure he knows he's gay. He needs to go ahead and fucking try it, dude. Suck a dick.
Yeah.
Take it in the cornhole, Just fucking do it. And then after you do it, come out on the show. Yeah, man. Just do it. We all know you're gay.
Yeah.
So fucking gay, dude. All right. See you later. Fucking Nazi.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that call.
I think we're going to get to a time at one point where, like, gay is not a joke anymore.
Yeah, well...
Where, like, calling someone gay is just like, wait, I get it. He's not actually gay, but what's the joke? Like, the younger generation is going to kind of not really get it.
Yeah, I think we're going to be we're at the middle point right now where that guy's calling me gay is like, hey man, just come out. He was the caller. We played another voicemail from that guy during our bonus episode, which will be coming soon. But here's one last one. I love these. These are call fuck ups. Listen to this.
All right, so I just got finished listening. Well, actually, I listened to the podcast like last week when it came out because I'm a good fan, and I've been thinking about it, and like, fuck.
Bravo.
That is very profound.
Great.
Hey there. Don't forget to subscribe to Madcast shows on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. Okay, bye. Madcast Media Network.